So it's welcome to All Things Irish and Rock and Roll, and today we are joined by the legendary again Johnny Quearney, who has played with everybody, believe me. So I'm hoping to get a few good stories out of Johnny today. Johnny, welcome.
Thanks very much. And
so I'm going to ask you really, the early days, like again, just to relax you, and relax myself.
Yeah.
What made you get into the business?
Well, I suppose the you know, the Beatles and the Stones were kind of that was an exciting time, and but the like my family history was I lived with my granny a lot, you know, and my uncle and my aunt, they played piano, and the piano accordion and. So there was always Hoolies, you know.
The Hoolies, I remember them, same as young,
And so I remember when I was really young, I didn't enjoy them at all, you know what I mean? Because you're young and they're all bleeding, singing and drunk, you know. But then, you know, it was going to school, and part of school was everybody you had to have a party piece, you know. You told a joke or sang a song. But you know, I remember listening to the radio and my grandmothers, you know, and listening to, you know, Jim Reeves and Elvis Presley and you know all those, and I remember learning the words of "Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley," you know.
Oh, right,
But in school, I remember you had to learn the words for "There Wasn't a Woman from Wexford" and a few of the old ballads, you know.
Yeah.
So they'd be in your kind of repertoire, you know. So whenever there was visitors to me, my grandmother lived in Cabra, you know, and both my mother and father from Cabra, and actually two of my father's sisters, my father bought a piano for two of his sisters, you know, but they played kind of classical, you know, and my Aunt Betty and my Uncle John, they played whatever was going, Roll Out the Birdle and you know, and all that. And on the accordion, my Uncle John used to play the Mexican hat dance, you know, you know, we'd be just waiting all night for him to play that, you know. But yeah, so there was so I suppose, you know, when I got around 6, 7, you had to do your party piece, you know. If there was visitors, they go, oh, you know, Shawnee, come out and sing a song for whoever the visitors were, you know. So I had Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley, and I had Big John. Can you remember?
Oh, Big Bad John.
Yeah, it's more of a monologue, you know. But that was so they were two of my party pieces. So I don't know whether it's significant or not, but my grandmother, she was the holy woman, you know. She was a plunket.
She was a religious woman.
From Meath, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And so rumour had it that we were related to Blessed Oliver Plunkett, you know.
Oh, really? At the head.
So people come to the house, you know, and they'd say the rosary with my grandmother, you know. And so, you know, I might be out in the garden, so you come out and And when they were coming out, they'd give me threepence or sixpence, you know, and rub me head and say, "You're related to Blessed Oliver," you know.
Yeah.
But he was blessed then. I think he's a saint now.
Is he a saint now? Yeah.
He promoted,
Yeah.
but so I think that was my first taste of show business, you know.
Yeah.
And it was. I remember my uncles and all. Everybody dressed immaculate then.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
Three-piece suits.
That was the whole thing back in them days. The hoolie after the pub, wasn't it? On the weekends.
Yeah.
That's all you got to look forward to. I remember my own mother and father and dad down in Marino. They go back there and they'd be all on the piano and they'd be going, "Jeez." As you said, you'd be there, you'd be going, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know what I mean? A noble call and all that. That's what was
That's you sang you.
Yeah. You had to get up and do it, you know.
But
The Boston Burglar was my one.
Oh, was it? Oh, great. Yeah, so we're in the same area.
Yeah.
But the so the, you know, it was great mixing with the older people then, you know.
Yeah.
And then I remember I might have been around maybe 8 or 9, and my father got me a plastic guitar, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'd be just strumming that, you know what I mean? The little click and the plastic strings, and I was strumming it, you know. And it was supposed to be a compliment, but it was just jangle dangle. And
well, then in rhythms, I suppose.
And everyone was saying, that's great, you know. And I'm thinking, you know, it's a load of crap, you know what I mean? but loving the attention. And so from then into the tech, you know, and Davy Hall was in the same tech as me.
All right.
The shoe tailor and textiles, and I did the cut and design there, and I went to apprentice to a cutter, Mick Stewart. He was a famous guy. I was very lucky, you know. He taught me a lot, you know. He was a brilliant man. But so I started going to dances. Started going to the McCushla on a Monday night with some of the guys I worked with, who were from town, and that's when my grandmother was dead and I was back living in my mother's house, you know. So we look forward to that every Monday night, you know. And Pete Cummins' band, the Stepping Stones, they were big time, you know. They were terrific, and he played the House Rising Sun, and you know, I'd be waiting for that. I'd stand in front of Pete, you know.
Yeah.
But they were lovely, you know, and I loved the camaraderie with the lads. You know, they talked to you and stuff
of course.
Like. And then I started dancing in the hall in Finglas, in St. Fergal's, and the band there was the Alpine 7. And they were a great band, you know. Ian McGarry on drums, Jerry Ryan, Mick Malloy on guitar, and Deke O'Brien.
Oh, Deke O'Brien.
Yeah, and then they had a brass section. You have to take the 2 saxes, but they were great, you know. And even then, I can remember them I got my mojo working, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not fade away. And geez, the excitement in it. And Chuck Berry, you know, all he had to do was diddle, boom, boom. And all the fellas would be dancing with each other, you know.
Yeah.
Even at that stage, yeah. But prior to that was kind of the twist. That was the. You know, remember
Chubby Checker.
Chubby, you'd be doing the twist to everything, you know.
Yeah.
But I always spoke to the bands, and just spoke to Jerry Ryan, and he was great encouragement, you know. And but then when I was around, a friend of mine, Joe Sinnott, the two of us hung around together, but he had an electric guitar, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think the two of us went into Jerry Rafferty in Felmsford Street for lessons, you know. And I didn't even own the guitar to him, but Joe used to loan me and we'd plug it in and make noise. And so
get to the excitement.
Yeah. So you learn a couple of chords, you know. And then this day, I was coming home on the bus from work, and I met this guy on the bus, and I knew him to see it, but he was a bit older than me, and he told me he had a Paul McCartney bass, you know.
The Hofner.
The old Hofner. so couldn't wait to see it, you know. So he said, come down to where we're practicing, you know. So so I went down, you know, looking at the bass, and I was kind of intrigued by the bass because with the old record players years ago, what were they called? Gramophone things, you know,
the old gramophone, yeah.
The big long things. But there was always a great bass sound.
Oh, radiogram.
Radiogram, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There was always a great bass sound out of them, you know. And I remember someone put on the Saturday night we used to have, teach each other how to dance, you know what I mean? And so I remember someone put on the Kinks, that album with the all the red jackets on it, the first album, and I remember the bass was really, you know, out the front, you know. Peter Quaife was his name, and so it was really, I remember that night, you know, it was kind of, geez, I think this is where I'm going, you know, and so anyway, I went in with your man, and so you showed me the bass, and so the band was called the Liffey Beats. You know, there was the Mersey Beats, and these are the Liffey Beats, from Finglas, and they practiced down in the village on McKee Road, and Josie Emmett was the guitar player. He lived right next door to the police station. His brother was famous because his nickname was Nelson. He was about 7 foot, and he was an usher in the casino, you know, right. in the picture house. But anyway, Josie was playing lead guitar, and the rhythm player, and this chap Brian James was his name. It's a great name, even, you know, Brian James. Yeah. And the drummer was Philip. He worked in the Marvel. But they were great. They were doing shadows and stuff, and I finger bunt and Apache and all them. So I was amazed. I'm right on top of it. And so anyway, the guy Brian, he sang a couple of tunes, the bass player, and Josie. And so the next, will you come down again? I said, yeah, I'll be down, yeah. So I think I went down, then the next week I went down. So there was no Brian there, only Josie and the other lads, but there was a bass there, you know. Yeah. And so that was me.
Introduction then.
That was me introduction into it. And then Josie just telling me, well, I could see the chords, you know. And so just playing along one, you know, copying where he was changing, you know, and I should have been doing that all my life now. But that was exciting times, you know, and there was a problem with that bass. It belonged to a fella called his name escapes me at the moment. Pinkleton. I think it was Wally Pinkleton or something. But he lived on Jamestown Road. But anyway, so I remember going down this Sunday, and nobody had kind of told me what the story was with the bass. It was just there, and so this Sunday they asked me to bring it up to him, you know. So I brought it up to his house, but he just reprimanded me big time, you know, for not keeping up the payments on it. Yeah. And I wasn't white. Yeah. Well, I wasn't very bright.
Everything was HP then, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I remember taking, this is an awful man, you know, and he was going off to play with the Showband called the Giants at the time.
The Giants?
The Giants, yeah. No, this would have been the early Giants, you know. Yeah. I was with the band called the Giants later. With Tom Kavanagh. Yeah. And that's Niamh Kavanagh's dad.
Right, okay.
You know, Niamh Kavanagh singer.
The Eurovision.
But anyway, that we got into trouble because of the volume, and but I remember I had to get another bass, and the tailor I was working for, he was in the transport marching band, you know, the band, the transport band, and so he seen me bringing in the bass, and he you're playing the bass now? I said, yeah. So I at lunchtime I had brought it back to the shop, and so I came back to the beer. What are you doing with no bass? I said, no, I had to give it back, you know. And he said, well, I had to give it back to the shop. There's a mix-up in the jerseys, you know. I was supposed to keep up the payment, so I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm after giving it back. And he says, did you see any bass up there you liked? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So I seen this Eggman, the red Eggman, and it was solid. It wasn't like the semi-solid, it was solid. And so I got that, you know, and so I was playing that, and there was the pickups on it were strong, you know what I mean? And the old speaker, I can't know, whatever it was plugging into, but I remember playing the first time and the windows were shaking. And so the lads were encouraging me to sing, so I thought I'd sing Lucille.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I'd learned the lick, you know what I mean? And so I'm playing the lick, and I remember the windows shaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, jeez, you know, with this, I could kill someone with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could feel the vibrations, you know, it was great. This is powerful, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so but anyway, we got thrown out of the shed we used to practice in, and the thing fell apart. And then I went up to the West End, and I joined the lads, the night shift, with Dougie Walsh, Tony Kumsky, and Don McDermott. So we had, with the night shift, we started doing relief bands. You know, they were doing the relief work for the show bands. And so we kind of, the band, we were playing around town. We played in Sound City.
Yeah.
Stevie Bulger managed us, you know, and he got us a few gigs. We played in the local hall in Finglas, and up in Margaret's. We played up in St. Margaret's. And Quearney Hall, we played, you know, this is something I remember, you know. I met my wife up in St. Margaret's, you know.
Yeah.
But, so and I was playing maybe, you know, it would have been 17 then, you know. I was about 16 when I started, 17. And then, you know, I met my wife, but I was playing one night in the Crystal, and the band was the Swingtime Aces. And Jackie Flavelle was a great bass player from Belfast, played with Belfast Experience. Great player, and he was the same as Pat Farley.
Yeah.
He used to have a radio show, you know.
Yeah.
BBC, and so Jackie Flavelle, he was going to Chris Barber, and so anyway, so one thing led to another. The guy who was the road manager asked me would I be interested in joining the band, you know. So he came out to my mother the next evening, and so my mother let me go, you know. Yeah. Because she was all about getting a trade, you know.
Yeah. What age were you then?
And 17.
Yeah.
17. Because I met Lena.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did that. I only lasted. It was down in Galway and nothing, right. And I enjoyed the band, you know, but they were all older than me, you know. They were all in their 20s.
Yeah.
They were all Elvis. But I learned the kind of the trade of it's up and down the country. He played all up and down the West Coast, you know. And he came to Dublin, I think, just once to play the Garda Club. Yeah. And Baton Rouge was the nickname. But so after about 2 months, I got homesick, you know, missed my mates, and so I came back, but I was replaced in the band.
You missed it, England, tell the truth.
So I was replaced with a guy called John Smales, who played bass and flute.
Yeah.
You know, he come back. He was born in Germany, but his mother was Irish. His father was German. So I don't know how I ended up back in the band. We came back into the band, and you know, I in the show bands I learned that you had to play two instruments, you know, and There was a trombone. There was a trombone, you know, in the rehearsal room, in the thing. And I was having a go at that, and the trumpet player, chap from Limerick, was telling me it's all about your pitch and embouchure, you know. So I was quite I was able to get when the Saints go marching in. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Those picking out those tunes, you know. I actually picked them out on the melody on the bass, and then I transpose it onto the trombone positions. Yeah. But so I was invited back into the band, and they changed the name to Oscar Whitney. And we had the manager was Shay Walsh, who managed the Sugar Shack. You know, Pat Fortune and Brian Downey.
Yeah, that's right.
Down at Woodford.
Was that Morning Dew they had?
Morning Dew, the big hit.
Yeah.
And so we went to make a record and the whole thing, you know. But we did a cover, and I'd started writing tunes at that time. I was cheeky and confident, you know. So I was writing tunes. But when we got into the studio, it ended up that we ended up playing a cover, you know, this cover. And I remember at lunchtime, there was an incident with me and Bill Somerville Large, and so I was asked to leave the session in Andrew's studio in
it was the Harker Street, was it?
No, it was in Facing Roach's stores.
Okay.
You know, he had an issue with the volume, you know, and I'd kind of learned the bass line, and I was playing bass on this thing, and he kept telling me to turn it down anyway. And I remember I think we were paying £25 an hour or something, but we travelled all night. Well, we played down in Cork, and we come up and went straight into the studio, you know. And then he kind of rambles in, like with a scarf around his neck, like from Ballsbridge or somewhere, you know, and then starts dictating to us, you know. And so, but anyway, somebody recorded the thing. Anyway, it went nowhere, and we missed an opportunity of playing on the Late Late Show because it was a cover. Because we were supposed to do the Late Late Show, and then all of a sudden the band The Movement, they were mentioned, you know. So they had an original, and this was after John Farrell left The Movement, you know. But so anyway, the Oscar Whitney, we did lots of work. You know, we had to buy a PA, and you know, and it was successful, you know, work wise, but then when I was there, I got married. I was just turned 20, you know, and I got married, and so getting married kind of gave me the freedom of. My mother was very domineering, so I remember saying I'm going to do a full-time gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go professional.
Go professional.
That was the word.
So and then like children arrive, you know, and so I had a workshop, you know, doing cutting and designing, pattern making, and making a few specials, you know. Yeah. And I had a tailor working for me, and so I was able to manage, you know, go and do gigs.
Yeah, financially you're okay, really.
Yeah, I was kind of plenty of freedom, and we were living in town. And the first one I got was playing in Cleary's, in the band in Cleary's. Yeah. And so that was 69, you know. We got married.
The ballroom.
The ballroom, yeah. And so we were there for a little over a year, and then they turned it into a carpet showroom. But we were well looked after. We were playing 5 nights a week, and with Pat Sheridan and Des Moore on guitar, and John Kavanagh on drums. We became great friends, and you know. So, but anyway, when it changed over to a carpet showroom, some of us, Eamon Cook, John Kavanagh, and myself, and Gwen Coates, she was the female singer. We formed a band, doing gigs around town, you know, doing the television club. And, and but so that was that lasted for a while. Then Johnny Brown left the Wheels, Red Hole in the Wheels.
Oh, the Wheels. He was in the Wheels. Wheels.
The Wheels, yeah, it was Red Hole in the Wheels.
Who was in that band? I can't remember.
Des Hickey.
Okay.
John O'Neill was a drummer. And Johnny Brown was from Finglas.
Yeah.
These were kind of older than me now, but we used to look up to them. You know?
Of course.
And try and learn stuff off them.
Was Noel Ireland in that band?
Noel came into the band.
Oh, right.
Noel came into the band. Red left to go and join his brother in the Nevada. Yeah. And so it was Noel came in then. And Hayden, the manager, he lost interest. And the road manager, Martin Quigley, he was getting us a couple of gigs. It lasted maybe a year. But the programme was great. We were doing Blood, Sweat and Tears, Chicago. You know, Electric Flags. We you know, it was really good stuff that we, and you know, we'd spend a day on a number, you know, and that was the rehearsals. Then after that kind of Dermot Ryan is a sax player. He's the band leader. And Emmett Wynne was a trumpet player.
That's great.
And so Dermot, anyway, they went to, you know, Glory. I think a band called the Cascades or something.
Yeah.
Something like the Castaways or something. But but then Dermot gave my name to two of the lads out of the Cadets. They'd formed a band called the
Eileen Reid.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Joss Fagan and Paddy Bourne formed this band called the Sun Valley Boys with Joe Monks, a guitar player, singer, great guy. You know, and Dennis Bowler, a chap from Kerry, great singer, great country singer. And so they needed a bass player. The bass player, I think, joined the Guards. Martin's the second name. Shay Martin, yeah, he's a great guy, Shay. And so anyway, I went into the Sun Valley Boys, and they were on their way up, you know, and so they made a record, came to #1, The Iron of Tomorrow. Joe wrote it, the guitar player. So we were doing lots of work, you know, and you know, something I want to say here, and it's for Shay Martin if he ever sees this, that I don't think the trumpet player ever forgave him for leaving, because he used to sack me every night. You know, he didn't see eye to eye. He didn't do much of his playing. You know what I mean? Because I played with great trumpet players. You know what I mean? And he was just a bit too raspy for me. But there was conflict there with me and him. But anyway. He's still alive, so good luck to him. So that was a great grounding in kind of country stuff, you know, and I enjoyed it, you know. And I still had a workshop, and so I left that band to go into with the conflict with your man. I couldn't hack it anymore. I was at buying a new house, and this guy was sacking me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every night, and torn down.
Yeah.
So anyway, I joined the Nashville Ramblers, you know, with Peter Lyons, Charlie Arkins, and Gregory, the singer, who just died recently, you know, Gregory Donoghue, you know, from the north, and he sang with the Cadets, you know, But so that lasted for a while, and Eamon Bourne was a guitar player who was from Finglas as well.
Yeah.
He played with the Keystones, and they were a great band from Finglas, and I loved Eamon, and we became friends after that. We played together, and but Eamon died. I think he was only 35 when he died. You know, we lived in Donaghmede.
Yeah.
But Yeah, but he was a lovely, great guy. No musical hang-ups, you know. Everything was possible. He played ballads and anything, you know.
He was musically,
but he was great. Yeah. So from that, after that, then I went to play for Dermot. Dermot called me to play with Stage 2.
Oh right.
Dermot Ryan, and so I was with Des Hickey was the guitar player. It was in the Wheels, you know. And myself, Alan Carr playing trumpet, singing, and John Mack.
So were they Cork band?
Wild McCork band.
Oh,
yeah.
We
played a lot around Cork.
Yeah.
So, but we used to stay in Mallow in the Central Hotel, you know, and but it was the Stage 2 was a great band, you know. There was everything was kind of paid for. Off the top, you know what I mean? Whereas in the other bands, you got your expenses, you know. They give you, they give you 10, they give you 10 bob towards a £3 meal, you know.
Yeah.
But everything was like we really looked after, you know. And I loved Joe. I was there for 2 years, I think, 2.5 years, and Des left. Des Hickey left to join the Nevada, and mate came in, Perky Boggins, who was in the Sun Valley Boys as well, with Martin McElroy, and before Stage 2, I played with Jim Farley and Rolly Daniels. Yeah, and that was about a 2-year gig as well. But and that was good. That we did a lot of work, you know, and it was very organised. And Jim was a great band leader. He was a hard band leader. I found him hard. Other bands didn't. I don't know why. But you know, I was mad interested about the bass and the double bass and learning. With no formal education, any formal musical education, you know what I mean? It was just what we taught each other, you know. But then I started reading, learned to read music and understand charts and stuff like that. And that was great for the back of the wagon, and reading all about the history of the jazz guys, you know what I mean? And then to be able to name drop with Jim was big time, you know, with Jim. And it was good. Like, he was good to me. He brought me to when we travelled to England. He brought me up to meet Bill Ashton. He was the conductor of the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. You know, I got some arrangements from him, but it was a great time. And Rolly was a lovely fella. You know, he was a lovely fella and a great singer. Jeez.
I know a few guys that work with him.
Andrew
Kelly worked with him. His drummer with him. Said he was a lovely guy. It's really good to work with.
But yes. But after Stage 2, I went into the Wexford Inn with after Stage 2, I went into the Wexford Inn with Arthur Madden and Tony Lennon and Peter Lyons, and I was there for a while. But when I was with Jim Farley and Green County was the name of the band, Ollie Bourne came to me and said he was opening a club, and he had Perky and Martin McElroy, who I used to practice with, you know, and we used to dream about having a band, you know. But so it had the two of them, and so he asked me to join. Of course, I was on a retainer, you know, a good weekly wage, and resident, no travelling, you know. And at that stage, I think I had 2 or 3 children, and so it was good. So we went into La Dolce Vita, and so that lasted about a year, you know. And then I went I went to Stage 2 then, and then after the Wexford Inn, I went into the Burlington with my great friend Jimmy Doyle.
Jimmy,
so I knew Jimmy for a while, and I'd heard all the stories. And Jim Farley told me, keep away from him. You know what I mean?
Well, no, we had him out here. We had him. Yeah.
So being a young I couldn't wait to meet Jimmy, you know, and then to play with him.
Yeah.
And it was
a
just
character, wasn't
fantastic.
He?
Yeah, and we played together for years, and then he went back to Germany. But the Warrington was good because we did that for the winter season, and we played in Butlins for the summer, you know.
Yeah.
So then I was just playing in pubs, and you know, and I was always interested in the double bass, you know, and I bought a double bass when I got married, and I had it in the flat, and I bought it off Mr. Dempsey, who just passed away.
Mr. Dempsey, yeah.
Yeah, and for £34, £34 10 shillings. £34
Yeah.
And it was easy payments, you know. We used to give
Oh, the HP thing, was it?
Yep.
No, hire purchase.
No, well, you went in and you paid off each week.
Oh, you had arrangements.
And I would have been working in. I was working in Quearney at the time.
Yeah.
And the musicians there, Paddy O'Connor was a trumpet player, and arranger, and he was, you know, it was great encouragement to learn. You know what I mean? And so that's where I got the double bass, you know, and. But it was a lovely man. When they gave him the last payment, I brought it outside, and I was living in Oakland Street down past Summer Hill, and he was on the other end in Parliament. So I was waiting at the bus stop, and he came out of his shop, and he says to me, where are you going, you know? And I said, it's all right, just live up in Oakland Street, you know, Summer Hill. And he says, I'll drop you home, you know. So he went and took the car out and brought me up to the flat, you know. But yeah, that was my Mr. Dempsey.
He was a great character.
He was a lovely man, you know.
Yeah.
And when I worked in town, we used to go up there every day and annoy him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I should remember we used to go up there, look in the window where all the photographs of the bands and the guitars hanging up. You could win. He time for everybody.
That was the vibe.
You know, it was great. He was great.
But yeah, I might be a bit excited, but so you know, playing in pubs then in the 80s, and the real Irish all-time things, rock and roll, really didn't start with me until we start playing with Joe Staunton. Yeah, and Joe lived beside me, and met Joe on the road. Then Joe ended up playing with myself and Joe Monks. Joe Monks' family owned the hotel, the Home Patrick in Skerries, and myself and Joe played there at the weekend. Yeah, when I'd finished with stage 2, I think it was, and so we played there for the season with I think Timmy Creedon might have been on drums, but so then Joe joined Skid Row. Yeah, but the Bush Hills band.
This must have been the 70s then.
Yeah, it was the end of the 70s.
Yeah.
The end of the 70s. Yeah. And it'd be around 78, 79. But anyway, we always kept in touch with Joe, and Joe would come out. Joe Monks they had a studio in their old house in Mush. Yeah. And so we used to go out there to practice and record, you know, and Joe was always the guitar player. I think Perky came out a couple of times, Perky Buggins, but anyway, so Joe started learning a few blues tunes off Joe.
Great player, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, and he was magic, you know, and playing the Peter Green stuff, Quearney and all that. Yeah. And so then in the late 80s, I got a call from Joe. I knew Pat Quearney. Yeah. I bought an amp off Pat Quearney in the 70s when he was in UCD. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember going up to pick it up. And so I met Pat there. I think he was playing with a band called Tara Telephone. So myself and Pat kind of knew each other. And he said he went out with my cousin. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there was a connection. Yeah. So Pat was playing with Joe, and then Pat was getting lots of work, and so Pat stepped out of Joe's band, the Friday Night Band, Talk to Strangers.
Oh, yeah,
so I got the gig there.
Right.
Yeah, then. Yeah. And so that was that. Then John was playing drums, John McCann, and then John asked me would I do a gig with the business.
Yeah.
And so I went in and met Pat and the boys and Donald Kirk.
Yeah, Donald Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, and so anyway, John had given me a tape, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, before the gig, I'm listening to the tape, you know. So when I get to the gig, you know, it says to Pat Farrell, you know, I was listening to the tape, and Pat says, "Well, we won't be doing any of those." so anyway, I managed to get through the gig.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to sing, and I sang the old going to Chicago and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so then Pat said, "Would you be interested in a few more gigs?" You know, Pat Quearney goes away for the August to the Joyce.
Oh, just the
Joyce week in Paris.
Yeah.
So I covered that, and so I started. It was covered more. Yeah, I covered a couple of times. Then I covered for Pat with Red Peters.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is a whole new thing to me, coming from cabaret.
Yeah, or the Showband. Yeah, basically.
And then eventually there was a break. That band broke up, and then Pat asked me to go into the thing with Black Dave Murphy.
Oh yeah.
And him, and but that didn't materialise. Dave wasn't interested, and so then I think Blues Up Front joined Pat.
Yeah.
Joe
O'Keefe.
Yeah, Pat Kilty, you know.
Yeah.
And Noel. And so that was that Noel Bridgman, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went into that band after Paul Bourne left. You know, because I went to see them a couple of times, you know, and geez, Paul's a fabulous bass player. He still is a fabulous bass player. And so Pat got in touch with me, and I'd been giving him the numbers of bass players because I was playing with the McGuinness brothers, Dave and Paul McGuinness, in the legendary Hoods. And I was enjoying it, you know what I mean? I was enjoying it. And we had a lot of work. We used to do Brussels on Sunday afternoon. I mean, I think Saturday night in the International, and then Dave was great at getting work. You know what I mean? And Joe Staunton was in the band.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I kind of I said I have to think about joining you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I joined them, you know, and so it was stepping into Paul Bourne's shoes was a big step for me, you know what I mean? Because everybody admired him, you know, for his bass playing and so anyway, but I managed to survive, you know, and I remember Noel being very, very nice to me, and I'm very encouraging, you know, and all I wanted to do was to lock in with him. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I got encouragement from him, and I copped onto Pat's licks.
Yeah.
Pat was great at playing licks, and I whatever lick he was playing, I copied. You know what I mean? Because it was on the groove. You know.
Yeah.
It's on the groove, and then you know. With this, and I discovered Willie Dixon had written all the blues standards. So then I studied Willie Dixon's playing, you know, and the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And learned all the Willie Dixon tunes. And, you know, and I was in all of them, so that was a few years. And people that slag me, I'd be talking about Willie Dixon, he's the man, you know, you know, Quearney and Willie Dixon, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, they still sing and play his numbers to this day. But the business, I was there with Pat for 16 years, and I got diabetes, and I'd gone into another profession, you know. I started working in Merchant's Quay and with people in rehabilitation, and so they sent me to Trinity, and I got 2 qualifications in counselling, psychotherapy, and addiction studies. And so I had a job working a street line with young children off the street, and residential, and I was diagnosed with diabetes, but I was suffering bad with it at the start, and I was having blackouts and stuff like that, falling asleep, and so I kind of I lost my job, but well, I couldn't get back because the doctor wouldn't sign me off, you know. But I'd been doing a bit of private stuff, and it was just at the right time that I got to share a practice with a psychiatrist in Dame Court, the Exchequer Clinic, and so I was working there and playing, you know, at the same time, But during that time, myself and Pat and Noel were involved in other projects. I put together a thing called the Heavyweights.
Oh, they were great.
And that came from Peter Moore's Acoustico, and Peter sacked me. He never admitted it, but he sacked me. But so I found because I put so much work into the show, into the Acoustico show, that I felt I was entitled to set up a band on myself. But Peter wasn't impressed. But I love Peter. We're still good friends today. We didn't talk for about 10 years.
Jesus.
But I love him. I love what he does. And he's one of the original. He's like one of the bands to me, you know. But anyway, so we'd always some kind of a scam going. Myself, Pat, or myself and Noel.
Yeah.
You know, and So the rest of my life was playing with Noel, you know, playing with Noel for 35 years, and it was a good time.
Yeah,
you know?
Noel he's great.
But we played with some famous people, you know. We played with Big Jack Johnston, the Oilman, you know, he's a Delta player, you know. He came over, and Larry Ruddy used to manage those acts to come over, and some of them come over. Myself and Noel played with Jeff Healy, you know, the blind thing, you know, and
incredible.
Yeah, and then we put a band together called Left, Right and Centre with Ed Dean.
Ed is a fabulous player too.
The nucleus of that band plus Trevor Knight went. We joined Donovan.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
I remember that.
It was kind of 2 summers. Involved with Donovan, and Donovan was brilliant. You know, it was great. But we you know, I had a good run of it, and but in the early years I played with a fella called Kevin Johnston, the guy who wrote Rock and Roll I Gave You All the Best Years of My Life.
Yeah.
So he came over here, and at the time it was kind of the end of it. I was probably playing in the Burlington, but Eamon Campbell, he was a fixer at the time, you know.
Was that the guitar player?
He ended up in the Dubliners.
I remember him, the Drake in years. Playing. He was great. He was.
But he was with Dermot.
Must have a white strap.
Yeah, he was with Dermot O'Brien. You know, and I remember from those days. But he was a fixer, and he put this band together anyway, you know. And Des Moore was in the band, and myself and Chap Barton from Drogheda, and Trevor Knight was the keyboard player, and and Eamon he was good to me. I used to get a bit of session work off him in Release in Lombard Street, you know, just playing the bass, you know, and he recommended me for a few gigs, you know, different ballad groups, you know. But a lot of the stuff we did was kind of country and thing. But it's just, myself and Eamon clicked. There's a few days between us in our birthday.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the 30th of November, and I think he's the 27th.
Yeah.
You know, so but the two of us got on well. You know, he was a lovely. He was a lovely guy, and his girlfriend at that time was Yvonne Costello, you know. Another beautiful person. She was Miss Ireland, you know. But lovely people, you know. But yeah, there was a bit of work that way, you know. But the old rock and roll was really my time I spent with Noel, Pat, you know. That's it.
Yeah, the blues.
Yeah, that was
great. They were great bands. Like I remember going to see us a few times, you know.
Oh yeah, sure. Numbers, you know. I don't know whether you remember, but myself, you, Joe Staunton, and Jimmy Doyle, we played at a wedding in the Workman's Club.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been around 78 or 79.
Yeah.
And it would have been one of the first gigs I played with Jimmy Doyle.
Yeah.
You know, but there was always gigs. There was always gigs going. You know, there was bands to be kind of coming to the end, and the bass players would be leaving, and you'd get a call. You might get a few weeks' work out of, but the band would be going, it'd be finishing. You know.
Yeah.
And there was loads of them there.
I just seen you recently there. You're doing a bit of with Brush.
Yeah. And so I was talking to Brush, and Brush says, you know, you should do that thing with Brendan Fingers, you know. And because I was telling him, when I was talking to him, some of the bands came back to me. I played with what's his name, Pat Eloy, you know, a great country singer, you know, and the Wandering Stars, a chap called Day. You know, and the National Rounders were a great band, but it was the country thing, and I loved that, just holding it down. Yeah. And the bass players thing is too. It was with Jim Farley. It was great, you know. You tilted the bar, you know. Yeah. And forward and solos, and you know, it sounds corny, but that's what it was about. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you know, he became interested in jazz and playing the double bass, and they keep it very simple, playing double bass, you know. And I had the privilege of playing with Jim Farley, playing the double bass in the National Concert Hall, and it was lovely. After the gig, he says to me, "I see you being woodshedding." You know what I mean?
What was that woodshedding?
Woodshedding meant that you were practicing.
Oh, right.
You know what I
mean?
Yeah. But when I played for him, he was never really complimentary towards me at all. Yeah. You know, and. In the, you know, I suppose not having any formal. But I got great encouragement from Ronan Guilfoyle. You know, he ran a thing up the north with Tommy Hafferty, a jazz thing. You know, and so you wanted to bring up something that we played, and so I brought up a business thing. You know, the live CD. So I played it. You know, and so he put on Rolling Man. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lovely solo goes on forever at the end, you know, with Pat and James knocking the head off each other musically. And like the compliment he passed me to give me was I wouldn't be able to do that, you know, how you just keep the concentration on just the dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun. You know, and I'm happy as Larry at that. You know, but him, it was great to see that everybody has something to offer. You know, I realised this is worthwhile. You know, that this is where I'm comfortable playing, and so I never graduated into the jazz thing. Although I did play with Louis Stewart and played with Noel Keelan and Peter Ainscough. Jesus Christ. I Johnny Woodham. You know what I mean? And I went to lessons to Dave Fleming, you know, with a beautiful guy, you know, but it was with Dave it was great. It was kind of you know, I appreciated them, you know, but it was more cups of coffee and talking about the business, you know.
Yeah.
But I did learn stuff from them, you know, and positions and that, you know, and myself and Pat, the last recording that Pat did was myself and Pat, him playing the Street 3-5 and me playing the upright bass.
Yeah.
And a thing called the half of it. You know, it's just the two of us, the half of the band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and they were our tunes. We did one or two standards on it, like Summertime and Guilty.
I think I have that there.
Yeah.
I have it there somewhere. Yeah.
But so I hope I haven't spoken too fast for you.
No,
But
no.
it was a good life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I managed to raise a family.
Yeah.
You know, and what more could you
And
ask
they're all
for?
fine musicians, Colin.
You know. Yeah. Not, it wouldn't be encouragement from me, no.
No, but I mean, like, and Hamo.
Yeah, my eldest son.
Another great
They all
player.
play,
All great players.
Emma, you know.
So there was an Emmett, a sound engineer. She was done sound engineering. She,
that's
you
right.
know. But I mean, there must have been some influence there, obviously, you know.
On Pat Farley's radio show, Pat said, Pat interviewed every member of the family about music, and he said the only one he hadn't interviewed was the dog.
I remember that dog. It was on Patrick and the dog. What was the dog? It was Black Dog.
Penny.
Penny. That was the dog. Yeah. Well, Johnny, I think that's going to wrap that up. But it's been it's very, very, very interesting stories, I have to say.
But it was you know, and I'm proud of my lads, and you know, and appreciate Brush.
Yeah.
Getting a chance to play with brushes. More the icing on the cake.
You know, he's look, a few stories there, you know.
Yeah, but I play with Mick Purdo now. And,
Mick Purdo,
yeah. And that's the thing we started about 14 years ago. Myself, Pat, Noel, Mick and James, you know, the Blues Cartel. We're still going. It's just a three-piece with Mick, myself now, and a drummer. But I enjoy it. And Mick is a fabulous guitar player.
No, yeah.
And never fails to surprise you.
No. I know that. Yeah.
But, so it's good. And I'm playing with some of the old guys from Finglas in the covers band. We play once a month up in Ern's Oil, you know.
Yeah.
And we play all the old, You Really Got Me, and all the old tunes, and Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, you know,
all them,
all those, and the singer was a guy called Noel Dore, you know, and his character, he's from Green Street, at the back of Slattery's there, and he drinks on Slattery still, you know, but Tony Fans on drums, Tony Corby on guitar, and Richie Piercy's the other guitar player, you know what I mean? And it's great fun, and you know, to play with people from anything that's where to start.
Yeah. Of course, you're playing, yeah. Well, Johnny, I tell you,
thanks very much, Brennan.
It's been, it's been brilliant. Thanks very much for coming out.
Yeah, I'm more than welcome.
Johnny Quearney for All Things Irish and Rock and Roll. Thank you.
Saturday night, all right.
Mr. John Quearney.